There is one tool that forever changed my hockey training, and that is video replay. So let's just dive into the evolution. We have at least 5 years of video from me on not just the skating, but you also have shooting and stick handling. And I'll also give you a step-by-step guide on how you can use video and maybe the things to look for in how you're comparing yourself to the best NHLers or another expert model. So one of the first steps that you're going to have to take is you will have to get access to a piece of video equipment. It doesn't have to be an iPad. It could be simply just your phone. A lot of people have access to phones. You can use it basically anywhere. If you want to have a tripod, you can definitely use that. It's not required. It does make things easier, right? You can just place your phone at the edge of the boards. The next step is to film your drills, and you want to make sure that you are in frame for all of your movements so that not only can you see your own film, but if you're getting someone else's eye, like another coach's eye, like what I do with my own players and clients, you want to make sure that you are in frames that not only can we see the whole drill, but we can also see how your body's moving and if we need to make any movement corrections up and down the kinetic chain. So you want to make sure that you're in the frame. You film your drills. Now the next step is to look back at the footage. You could do this while you're on the ice during your practice time, or you could accumulate all the videos and take a look at it after the fact. I think the quickest feedback happens in the direct moment, but if you don't have time or if you don't have the access to a camera right away, you can gather the footage and take it with you back home. One of the most optimal tools for the video feedback process is the Accelerate app by Train 2.0, where they have a video replay technology that you don't have to touch the screen or anything like that. You do your drill. It delays the video after you set the amount of delay that you want. You do your drill. Then you go back to look at the footage without touching anything again. And then you go do your drill again, which leads us into step 4, which is repeating steps 2 and 3 until you're done with your practice. So it's really as simple as that. You get a camera device with or without a tripod if you want. You film your drills, making sure that you're in frame, not only to coach yourself, but to also get feedback from other sources and other eyes. Then you look back at your own footage and you repeat steps 2 and 3. And I seriously mean this when I say that this has been the most game-changing tool that I've used for my hockey development. Like, I had to rely on the coach's eye so much. But it wasn't until I saw my own footage that I, started to make a lot of progress on my on my own. It's one thing to have like a coach watching you. It's another thing to watch yourself make all these changes. Yeah, I just have years and years of footage here. So on top of the video feedback system, there's 2 ways that you can look at your footage. You can look at it standing on its own, just like this. These are clips from 2022, for example, where I'm playing around with the outside edge. And this is also from 2022. So there's a way where you just look at the footage by itself, which will still tell you a lot and is completely game-changing for me. But if you want to make the 10,000 hours if you want to make a transformation like having something that usually takes 10,000 hours happen in minutes or seconds, you will do this. You do the same video feedback process, but you take an NHLer next to your clip. A while back, internally inside of Train 2.0, I was doing this series called Matching McDavid, where I literally copy his same exact footwork pattern, and I look to see any mechanical differences. Like, you can tell if we played this clip out on its own that he is faster than me and making more of a distance. And I make sure to copy exactly where he lands and where he turns and his same exact footwork sequence. And it does match up. Like, if we look at the footwork, It's the same thing, same punch turn, same cross right there, same cross. It's the same double steps into that little punch that he does. I'm just slower overall. Like, you can see it towards the end. And that's how you can tell that something is different. If you're matching up the speeds with each other and it still ends up, if you're matching up all the footwork together, but you're still ending up being slower than him. But this is really like how I practiced. It showed me quite a lot about where I was with like my skill set and with my skating, just my general mechanics. Like, for instance, the video clip I was copying here. So for this one, for example, he takes about 5 crosses before he reaches the blue line from about this point, right below the benches, gets to about the middle of the ice. You can tell like he's going on a wider route with these cross unders when he starts at the point that he does right here, really close to the boards, and yet he gets wider than the circumference of a common face-off circle. Because like, if you're at these hash marks, that's not the width or like the standard diameter of a face-off circle. He's going on a much wider route. And I was looking to copy that with my skating right here. He takes about 7 cross unders before he goes for his goal in this instance. But you can see in this specific clip, I don't really get as wide, because his feet were as wide as the hash marks right here, and I'm not out there. Again, starts on the wall, goes into the middle of the center face-off dot, and then he's outside these hash marks before he goes in for his little chip. So something is different mechanically between my skating and his skating, like right about here. It just doesn't get as wide just from how it's tracking. I realized a few things at the time. I think it was my hips were moving so much differently. I think I'm also leaned over too much compared to him. He often gets a really good lean, but yeah, he's more upright. It's like you're often told to just like lean over and bend your knees to go faster, but he's really upright right here. So it's like, obviously he's doing something different than what is taught. But yeah, I would say like I'm more leaned over. Yeah, my shoulders are not level compared to his when he does his crosses right here. Like, he has a little bit of a tilt, but it's not that much. And then as soon as he exits right here, you can't tell from this angle if his shoulders are tilted, but that's still like a huge difference. But yeah, I continued this specific series. I also think this was around the time that I hurt my hips with that little Sharks jersey. So it's like, yeah, clearly that wasn't the same. Even though like it's the same footwork pattern. Like, you take a couple crosses, stutter, soft tip. He gets wider with his soft tips, and even his stutters are wider than mine, I would say. If you go to right here, like the steps are just at a wider distance. Remind you, this is from 2021. Like, my mechanics are brutally different, but if you guys want to see a series like this come back, I will definitely do it again. This is game changing, to say the least, where you're deliberately videotaping yourself next to one of these NHLers. Again, that's what told me the biggest transformations. The first time I did it was with Nikita Kucherov. I was so obsessed with this stupid warm-up shot. This is just Kuch warm-ups. It's like, why would you copy this? Because he's being lazy with his shooting. It's like, I'll tell you why. Because it's like, it shows up in the rest of his shots too. Plus, when you're matching mechanics like this, it shows up movement errors that you wouldn't notice before. I think like most of my footwork was off. But you'll see like it's very similar like rotation that you wouldn't have otherwise noticed. And it's a very similar whip that you would notice right there, which is the same thing as it is right here. I think I'm putting in maybe a little bit more effort than he is. That is basically the same thing, where it's like step foot to foot and then release after that. This is like one of my better shots right there compared to his. It's like, this will still tell you a lot. Like the point of this again is to match up the movements and mechanics. When I tried this for the first time, like this shot specifically, so this is what it looked like the first time that I tried that same Kucherov shot, where it's like a little, it's a little snap. It doesn't whip as much as what you see right here. Like that's not the same thing. And the reason for that is because I was using more of my hands instead of my, shoulders, upper body, hips, like all of that. The other thing to note too is like, look how much my hips snap during this versus Kucherov, where they don't really snap as much as they'll just slip around. Like there's a little bit of it there, but it's not as much as like what I'm doing, where it's takes a lot of force and it's very blocky. But after just, what was that? It was like 2 months or so that things started to open up. And now in this clip is a lot more fluid. So it's like all of that was just from comparing my footage to him. In a warm-up shot, it's like, well, yes, you would copy something like that. Again, the point of this is to learn movement. In order to learn movement, you need to use as many tools as possible. You can't neglect anything like what is supposed to be a warm-up shot. It's going to tell you something if, like, your shot isn't as good as Kucherov's, which is very likely to not be the case. Your shot is not as good as Kucherov's. Go learn from him. Put yourself next to him exactly like I did. You're not as good of a skater as Connor McDavid. Put your skating footage next to Connor McDavid and see what comes up, see what you notice. Because once you start to do that, you will end up looking more like that. That's the reason you do video feedback. That is why in all my clip analyses, I put you next to an NHLer in a very similar situation. That's the same thing that I coach inside of the Hockey Hacks system. If you guys sign up for the basics, the densification, the standards program, even the Hockey Hacks full year system, the video feedback, this is the video feedback process we use because it produced the results that I'm going to give to you as well. Once you see yourself next to an expert model like this, you are going to immediately make changes that looks more like the expert model. And it gives you a 10,000 hour breakthrough in minutes or even seconds. When I started doing this 5 years ago, I got immediately better. My skill development went to a whole nother level. So I want to thank you for watching. Share this video with a friend who you think would benefit from this coaching or all these insights. Check out my programs from Zero Equipment Solution to the basics to Hockey Hacks Dense to Hockey Hacks Standards, where we progress you from your current abilities to the abilities of the best hockey players, just like we did with this video feedback system. Thank you for watching again, and we'll see you in the next video.